Hi everyone. Today we're going to take a look at a foundation that has gotten a lot of hype from a brand that is fairly new to Beautypedia at this time. Charlotte Tilbury, or from Charlotte Tilbury, the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Foundation. This is a formula that is a foundation geared more towards those who don't have a lot of imperfections, we'll talk more about that here in a little bit, or who are looking for more of a light coverage formula, something to just kind of do a your skin but better effect. It is best for those who do have more of a combination to normal or dry skin. Some are right in that category. The reason why is that this formula does have certainly some moisturizing capabilities. It does have more of a dewy effect or dewy finish. Those who have super oily skin, of course, certainly are not going to appreciate that sort of finish. However, if you do have more combination and you like a dewy finish, like I personally do, then you might actually quite like this. But before we get too far into the finish, let's actually show you what it looks like on skin. I kind of feel that's the best way to be able to make a decision when you actually see someone put it on. So we'll show you what this actually looks like going on, how easy it is to blend, and then also talk about a few other little traits along the way. So as a super fluid formula, this actually might take a little getting used to at first because a lot of foundations are not quite this fluid. So handily, this actually does come with a little kind of needle nose tip which helps to control the amount that you use. You actually don't need a lot. So let's actually see what this looks like. So here you can see quite fluid. Now this is actually much more than I need. This is shade 5 medium. I mentioned earlier, as these are sheer, they are quite workable. So the colors are much more forgiving than you might think. So if you're a little off, it's not the biggest problem, especially not as much of a problem as it would be with more heavier coverage formulas. So you can use your fingers. This does blend very well and quite easily. So you can use your fingers, you can use a brush. I'm going to use a beauty blender, black, because black obviously is for boys. And then you just dab on a little bit here, and I'll show you that's actually quite a lot. So you can just dab it on, and right away you'll see the finish of this does have that kind of a dewy effect. This is definitely not the foundation to look to if one, you either like a matte finish, or two, you have really oily skin and you necessarily won't always appreciate the kind of dewy effect that this provides. This definitely has, as I mentioned, that kind of illuminated effect without being shimmery. Even though this does have mica, there's actually no visible shimmer to it, even in broad daylight. But as you can also tell, this is, as I've mentioned a few times, quite sheer. I have even kind of slight under eye circles here. This really didn't do much other than kind of a mild blurring effect. I have kind of a slight little kind of red dot here from, I don't know, my cat scratched me or something like that. And you can still kind of see it, especially under these bright lights. So if you do have any red marks or discolorations that are beyond just the very minimal, you are going to need to top this with a concealer. Now in terms of the wear time, this formula will actually wear well over the course of the day if you have the right skin type for it. Someone who has very oily skin will find that this wears off probably by lunchtime, but this formula truly shines, no pun intended, for those who have dry skin. Well, let's go ahead and get back to the rest of the review. We'll talk more about some of the ingredients and some of the claims. Now, the cost of this formula at 1.45 ounces, it's $45. And that is, something, if you're just looking at the price tag, well, it seems a little high. It's definitely on the higher end for a foundation. However, when you actually look at the numbers, you get almost 1.5 ounces of product with this. A lot of the high-end brands, 1 ounce is what you get, and a lot of those are very close to this price point, in the upper 30s or low 40s. So when you actually look at the fact that you get almost 1.5 ounces of product, this actually works out to be a fairly, not necessarily inexpensive formula, but it's not as much of a splurge as you would think, especially because of the fact you actually don't need that much product. This is going to last you some time. If you haven't picked up by now, this did absolutely earn our highest rating because of not only the fact that it is difficult to find a foundation that works for dry skin, that doesn't feel like grease paint or doesn't look greasy or heavy. This has a beautiful, natural, skin real finish to it. It comes in a nice range of shades, and certainly if you're looking for this type of formula, this won't disappoint. So if you have tried this and you loved it, or you tried it and you hated it, it didn't work out for you, or you're going to try it, if you have any feedback at all, leave that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you, and by all means, check out the other Charlotte Tilbury reviews we have on Beautypedia, because we have quite a few, and we'll be adding even more in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching.